Tonight's story begins with a phone that won't stop buzzing, and a brother who died weeks ago. You're about to hear a tale of love twisted by loss, of memories that cling like shadows, and a house that remembers everything. This is a slow descent into grief, guilt, and the horror of not knowing whether you're the one haunting or the one being haunted. So lie back, close your eyes, let the night in. Because once the messages start, they don't stop. This is, my brother died, but he still sends group texts. Chapter 1, the first message. Grief doesn't come in waves. That's a lie people tell you so they can pretend it'll stop. For me, it was more like a fog, constant, clinging, thick enough to get into my clothes and mouth and lungs. After Marcus fell, I didn't go back to work. I didn't answer calls. I didn't go to the funeral. I just sat in our childhood home, the one we inherited from our parents, and listened to the creaks of the old floorboards like they might somehow speak. Marcus died 3 weeks ago. He tripped on a loose piece of scaffolding while working late on a construction site. No one saw it happen. The police ruled it an accident. I've replayed it in my head 1,000 times anyway. I can see him losing his balance, arms windmilling, trying to catch something that isn't there. He was always the more careful one. That night, like every other since he passed, I sat on the couch in the living room with a blanket pulled up to my chin and the TV on mute. I didn't even look at the screen anymore. The flickering light was just company. My phone buzzed at 11:41 p.m. That part's important. The time. Marcus was obsessive about numbers. Always had his phone alarms set to weird times, 6, 7, 9, 18, 3:33. Never on the hour, never the half. Just strange numbers that made sense to no one but him. I assumed it was another thinking of you message from one of those distant relatives who emerge from the woodwork when someone dies. I almost didn't check it, but I did. It was a group text, just 3 words. You left it. The sender was Marcus. I stared at the screen. Not just stared, froze. It wasn't some random number with his name attached to it. It was his actual number. The one I used to call when the pipes made noises or I couldn't remember how to cook rice. It still said Marcus in my contacts, still had that stupid picture of him wearing vampire teeth from Halloween 3 years ago. I clicked into the group. There were only 2 people, me and him. No one else. I typed back, "Who is this?" No response. I waited, kept waiting, kept checking. At some point, I must have dozed off on the couch because I woke up at 2:13 a.m. to find the phone still in my hand and my heart pounding like I'd been running. I didn't sleep after that. The next morning, I told myself it had to be someone messing with me. Maybe his number hadn't been deactivated yet. Maybe someone at the phone company recycled it. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe this was my brain finally cracking from everything. I tried calling it. It rang once. Then it clicked, and all I heard was static. Like an old television channel when there's no broadcast. The kind of sound that sets your teeth on edge. Then silence. No voicemail. No disconnect. Just dead air. I called again. Same thing. I texted again. Seriously, not funny. Stop. Nothing. That evening, the second message came. Same time, 11:41 p.m. Same group text. This one was a photo. I expected something awful. A photo of the body or a prank image. But it wasn't that. It was a picture of the upstairs hallway, in our house. The lights were off, except for the small glow from the nightlight at the end of the hall, the one I'd kept plugged in since we were kids. The door to my bedroom was slightly ajar. That was the moment I knew, really knew. This wasn't a prank. I hadn't been upstairs since the funeral. I couldn't even walk past his door without feeling like I was about to collapse. So who took the photo? I went upstairs, my legs trembling so hard it felt like my knees would go out. Every step felt like it echoed. The hallway was exactly like the photo. Nightlight glowing. My door ajar. I reached out and pushed it open. Empty. But the air was wrong. Cold, thick, like it had been sealed for days. I searched the room, the closet, under the bed. Nothing. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had just been there. Like I had missed someone by seconds. I went back downstairs, locked the front door, then locked the back, and then locked the front again for good measure. I checked every window. Then I sat in the living room until dawn. The third night, I didn't wait for the message. I tried turning off my phone. It powered back on, by itself. The screen flickered for a moment, then lit up with a new message. Stop looking. You'll make it worse. Worse? Worse than what? I didn't respond. I didn't sleep either. On the 4th day, I went to the phone store, showed them the texts. The guy behind the counter blinked at me like I was speaking another language. He checked the message log. It's not coming from a real number, he said. Looks like it's routing through some old cloud backup or something, but that shouldn't be possible unless... He trailed off. Unless what? He shifted uncomfortably. Unless the number's still active and linked to a physical device. Like a phone? He nodded. Yeah, but whoever's using it, they're either really good at spoofing or it's just corrupted data. These things glitch sometimes. Right, I said, but I didn't believe him. I could see it in his eyes. He didn't believe it either. I asked to have the number blocked. He tried, then frowned. It's not letting me. That's weird. That night, the final message of the week came. It wasn't a picture. It wasn't a sentence. It was a video. I didn't open it right away. I stared at the thumbnail for a full minute. It was dark, but I could see movement. I tapped it. It was grainy, like it had been filmed through a window or behind a closet door. The frame was centered on me, sleeping, on the couch, in the exact position I was in. The blankets, the glow from the muted TV, everything matched, everything, except for one detail. In the video, my mouth was slightly open, and there was a figure standing just behind the couch, not touching me, not moving, just standing watching. I paused the video, rewound, replayed. The figure was blurry, but it was tall, shoulders sloped, head tilted to one side, like Marcus used to do when he didn't understand something. My phone buzzed again. One last message. You don't remember yet, but you will. That was when the lights in the living room flickered, and something upstairs moved. Chapter 2. The Sound in the Ceiling. I didn't go upstairs after the video. I sat on the edge of the couch, holding my phone like it might explode. Every shadow in the house felt alive. The coat rack in the corner looked like a person. The ticking clock sounded like breathing. I told myself it had to be stress, sleep deprivation, guilt, but that didn't explain the video or the message. You don't remember yet, but you will. The phrasing clung to me. Not if I remembered, but when. That was the part that scared me most, like something had already happened, like my brain had put up a wall and Marcus was trying to pull it down brick by brick. Around 3 a.m., I did something I hadn't done in years. I locked myself in the bathroom. It wasn't rational. I knew that, but the room was small, with one door and no windows. I could see everything at once. I sat on the closed toilet lid, phone in hand, blanket around my shoulders. I stayed in there until sunrise. The next morning, I left the house. I didn't pack a bag. I didn't brush my teeth. I just got in my car and drove with no destination. I told myself I'd stop when I felt sane again. By the time I hit the edge of town, the fog on my brain had started to lift. The sky was clear. My coffee was still hot. The world looked normal again. That almost made it worse. I kept thinking, if I just turned around and went home, would the house still be normal too? I parked outside a diner and ate a greasy breakfast I didn't want. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely lift the fork. A server asked if I was okay. I said I was just tired, that's all. Just tired. She smiled and said, "Grief does that." And for a moment, I wanted to cry. I stayed away the whole day. Didn't go back until the sun was setting. That's when I noticed it. The upstairs window, Marcus's bedroom, was open. I never opened that window. It sticks, always has. You'd have to force it open. I parked, heart pounding, walked inside. The house was quiet, too quiet. No TV hum, no fridge motor, just stillness. The kind that makes your ears strain for sounds that aren't there. I didn't go upstairs. I told myself I'd deal with the window later. I made a sandwich, left the lights on, put my phone in the drawer. I even laughed at myself, a little, thinking maybe I'd imagined it all. Maybe this was just what trauma looked like. Then, just after 11:41 p.m., it started. A sound in the ceiling. Not footsteps. Dragging. Something slow, like fabric being pulled across floorboards. Long pauses between movements. Then a creak. Then more dragging. I stared up. Above the living room was the attic crawl space. We hadn't gone up there in years. Marcus used to call it the second silence. Said it felt like a different kind of quiet up there, one that didn't belong to the rest of the house. I got the stepladder from the laundry closet. Every nerve in my body was screaming. I didn't want to do it. I could feel something awful waiting. But if I didn't look now, I'd never sleep again. I climbed, slid the attic panel open. It was pitch black. The air smelled like dust and rot. I couldn't see anything past the opening, but I didn't have to. The smell alone told me something had been living up there, or dying. I climbed halfway in and turned on the flashlight app on my phone, swept the beam across boxes, a moth-eaten mattress, old Christmas decorations, and then I saw it. My blanket, the one from the living room, the one I had wrapped around myself the night of the video. It was up there, folded neatly in the corner. I hadn't moved it. I couldn't have. I climbed back down without looking further, closed the panel, put the ladder away, and I left the house again. I drove to a motel on the edge of town, checked in under a fake name. The woman behind the desk didn't ask questions, though she gave me a look like she could smell the fear on me. The room was small and cold, but it was clean. It had 4 solid walls and no attic. I didn't sleep, but I laid there in the dark for hours, just listening to the silence and trying to forget the dragging sound. At 11:41 p.m, my phone buzzed again. A new group text. I opened it. Another picture. This one was of the motel room. Same layout, same pale blue curtains, same ugly bedspread. Except in the photo, I wasn't alone. There was a figure sitting in the corner chair. I couldn't see their face, but I recognized the hoodie. It was mine. I jumped up and flipped on the lights, ran to the chair. Nothing. Checked the door. Still locked. I turned on the TV just for the noise. The screen stayed black, then flickered. The picture came on, but it wasn't a channel. It was the video again. The one of me sleeping on the couch. Only now it was playing in reverse. I watched myself rise from the couch, blanket falling from my lap. Then the figure behind me reached forward, placed a hand on my shoulder and whispered something into my ear. I paused the video, turned the volume all the way up, hit play again. This time I heard it, clear as day, my own voice, saying, "Don't leave yet, I still need you." Chapter 3. Who's been in my room? By the time the sun rose, I was still in the motel room, sitting upright in the chair from the photo. I hadn't moved all night. I didn't sleep, didn't shower, didn't speak. I just stared at the television screen, which had gone to static sometime before dawn, the faint grey flicker lighting up the dark room like a heartbeat. My phone sat in my lap. I didn't dare turn it off again. Last time I tried, it powered back on by itself. This time I left it on and open. No secrets, no resistance. If something wanted to reach me, I figured it already had. At 6:03 a.m, I got a text from an unfamiliar number. Just one line. "Go home. It's not finished." I should have deleted it. I should have blocked the number. But instead, I opened the drawer beside the motel bed and saw something that stopped my breath. It was a photograph. A real one. Glossy, with the date printed in the bottom corner, March 12th last year. It was of Marcus and me, sitting on the porch steps at home. I was holding a beer. He was making a face like he always did in pictures. We looked happy. Except, I don't remember that day. I picked up the photo. On the back, written in ink, "You promised not to forget." I left the motel 5 minutes later. The drive home felt like a funeral procession. I didn't play music. I didn't open the windows. I just drove in silence, hands tight on the wheel, heart pounding with every turn closer to the house. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed the blinds in Marcus's old room were open again, flapping a little like someone had passed by recently. The house looked exactly the same, but different. Older. Emptier. I stood at the door for nearly a minute before unlocking it and stepping inside. The air hit me like a wall. It smelled like wet wood, stale breath, like something had been trapped here too long. Everything was just as I'd left it. Dishes still in the sink, the couch blanket missing, TV off. But my bedroom door upstairs? It was open. I had closed it before I left. I remembered that clearly. I didn't go up immediately. I checked the windows, the locks, the basement door, all untouched. And then I forced myself up the stairs, one slow step at a time. The hallway was dim. My bedroom door creaked when I touched it. I pushed it open all the way and stopped. My sheets were pulled back, pillow indented like someone had been sleeping there. On the nightstand was a half-empty glass of water I didn't pour, and there on the pillow was a clump of dark brown hair. Marcus's colour. I ran to the bathroom, opened the medicine cabinet. Every toothbrush was wet. Razor moved. His cologne bottle had been shifted slightly, just enough to notice he'd been here, or someone had. And whoever it was, they knew how to make it feel like he'd never left. That night I didn't leave the house. I couldn't. Some part of me needed to understand. At exactly 11:41 p.m, another message came. A video. But this time, the thumbnail wasn't dark. It was my bedroom. I pressed play. In the video, I was sleeping in bed. Not the couch, not the motel. Bed. The camera panned across the room slowly, like someone walking, and then it turned toward the mirror above the dresser. That's when I saw him, Marcus, standing behind me in the reflection. His eyes were open, his face calm, but his head tilted to the side again, like he was studying me, trying to remember me. His mouth moved. The camera zoomed in. He whispered, "Why are you in my bed?" I dropped the phone, staggered back into the hallway and slammed the door. My chest felt like it was splitting. I couldn't breathe. Then I heard it. Footsteps upstairs. Not heavy, not fast. Just deliberate, back and forth, back and forth. I called Marcus's number. I don't know why. It rang once. Then he answered. I didn't hear static this time. I heard breathing, and then his voice. Tired. Cold. "You need to stop calling me." I stammered. "Marcus? What's going on?" Long pause. Then, "I buried you." I stopped breathing. "I buried you," he said again, his voice cracking. "Stop calling me. Please, let me go." The line went dead. I stood in the hallway for a long time, frozen, mind racing, memories flickering, out of sequence like puzzle pieces forced into the wrong picture. The accident, the scaffolding. It wasn't me who got the call that night. It was Marcus. He was the one who stood in this hallway trying to understand how I'd fallen. He was the one who watched the coffin being lowered into the ground. He was the one who walked through this house afterward, unable to accept it. I wasn't grieving Marcus. He was grieving me. I backed away from the door, legs trembling. Went downstairs. I wanted to run, to scream, to punch through the walls until the truth came pouring out like blood. Instead, I turned on the TV. It flickered once. Then a new video played. No thumbnail, no warning. It was security footage. Grainy, black and white. Me, walking down the hall, opening doors, touching things, lying in the bed. Only the date on the footage? Tomorrow. Chapter 4. The Dead Man's Password. I stayed up until dawn watching that video loop. Each time the footage played out the same way. I came in through the front door at 3:12 p.m, wearing the same clothes I had on now. I looked tired, slower. I moved through the house like someone walking underwater. Then I climbed the stairs, entered Marcus's room, and disappeared. The footage ended there, mid-frame, frozen on an open door and nothing behind it. Every time it replayed, I tried to spot a difference, a sign it was just a glitch, a fake, something I could explain. But the time code stayed the same, tomorrow, 3:12 p.m. And in my chest I felt it, that deep, gnawing certainty. I was going to die again tomorrow. By mid-morning, I made a decision. I was going to find Marcus's laptop. If he had saved any backups, any clues, anything that might explain what the hell was happening, it'd be on there. I hadn't touched his things since the funeral, or what I thought was the funeral. I still didn't know which parts were real and which were built from grief. I walked slowly to his room. The door was open. The bed was made. The sunlight came through the blinds in soft bars, painting dust across the hardwood floor. His desk sat in the far corner untouched. Neat. And there it was, the laptop, closed, charging cable still plugged into the wall. I reached for it. It was cold, much colder than the room. I opened it and hit the power button. It booted immediately. No login screen, just a single folder on the desktop, labelled Remember Me. I hesitated, double-clicked. Inside were dozens of video files, voice recordings, screenshots of group texts, all from my phone, messages I had sent. I clicked on one at random, img4382.move. It opened with the sound of rain. Marcus was filming himself in the living room. His eyes were red. He looked terrified. He held up his phone, showing a message he'd received. "I'm still in the house." Then the camera turned toward the hallway, where I stood, but not me, something wearing my face. Pale, lips slightly parted, dead eyes. Marcus said, "Why won't you leave me alone?" I closed the video. My heart was hammering now. I went back and opened a recording labelled Voicemail 1013. I recognized my voice, breathy, distant. You said you'd come with me. You said we'd go together, but you let me fall. There was a sound in the background, a scream maybe. I staggered away from the desk, looked around the room. Suddenly, everything looked different. Too clean, too preserved, like a shrine or a grave. That night, I locked every door, closed every curtain, took a knife from the kitchen and set it beside my bed. I didn't plan to use it. I just needed something to hold. At 11:41 p.m., the phone buzzed again. A new video. I didn't want to open it, but I did. It was a screen recording this time of someone logging into Marcus's email. They typed the password in slowly, each keystroke visible. REMEMBRME. Once inside, they opened an email draft. No recipient, no subject. Just text typed one letter at a time. You're in the wrong body. I stared at the screen. Then a second line appeared. I died so you could live, but you came back anyway. A third line. You shouldn't be here. And finally, you were never supposed to come back. I didn't sleep. Couldn't. Instead, I wandered the house, touching the walls, trying to feel for something familiar, something real. I found myself in the attic again. I don't even remember climbing the ladder. Just being there. The air was colder than before. The dust didn't smell like dust. It smelled like rot, like dried blood. I swept the flashlight across the space. There were photos pinned to the beams, old photos, of me, as a child, as a teenager, then more recent, me on the couch, asleep, me at the sink, me in the mirror, each one dated, and beside each, a small handwritten note. He doesn't remember. Still here. Wants to come back. And one final photo taped to the rafters. Not a photo of me, a photo of Marcus. Eyes open, lying in a casket, head turned slightly, smiling. I left the attic in a daze, went into the backyard, stared up at the house and thought, what if I'm still in the ground? What if everything since the fall, since Marcus's voice on the phone, is just me refusing to leave? And what if he's trapped here because I won't let him go? I sat on the grass until the sun began to rise. Then I heard it, a soft ping. I checked my phone. One new photo, a screen capture of a Google search. The query, what happens if the wrong soul comes back? Under it, a preview snippet from some obscure forum. Sometimes they return angry, sometimes confused. But if they return knowing they're dead, they take the living with them. Chapter 5, What the House Remembers. The morning passed without incident. No texts, no videos, no signs of Marcus or whatever was pretending to be Marcus. For the first time in days, I felt a strange quiet. But it wasn't peace. It was that before the storm kind of silence, like the house was holding its breath. I tried to keep busy. Made coffee, swept the kitchen, took out the trash even though I hadn't eaten much since this all started. The sun sat heavy in the sky, unmoving. It felt like time itself had slowed down. The only thing that changed was the house. Subtle things at first. The hallway seemed longer, the door frames slightly too narrow. My reflection in the bathroom mirror blinked a second too late. Then came the smell again. Sweet, rotting, faintly metallic, like the air after a lightning strike, and always strongest at the top of the stairs. I avoided the attic. I avoided Marcus's room. Instead, I opened the basement door for the first time in weeks. I stood at the top of the stairs, flashlight in hand, staring down into the dark. I don't know why I felt drawn there, only that the house wanted me to go down. I took each step slowly. The boards groaned under my weight like they were remembering me. The light barely pierced the gloom. The basement was unchanged. The furnace, the workbench, boxes of old holiday decorations and photo albums stacked along the wall. But something was off. The concrete floor had a seam in it, one I didn't remember. Like a crack had formed where the foundation had split. I knelt down and ran my fingers across it. It wasn't a crack. It was a line, a lid. I scraped at the edge until I found the seam's border, roughly 3 feet wide, in a perfect square, a door, buried beneath the basement floor. I got the crowbar from the bench and wedged it in. It took 3 hard pulls before the slab lifted, dust erupting into the air, and beneath it, a crawl space, shallow, cramped, but not empty. There was a blanket, familiar, blue, the one I'd wrapped around myself the first night on the couch, and a phone, mine, but it was cracked, the screen completely shattered. I turned it over. It was still warm, still on. A red light blinked in the corner. Recording. I pressed play. It was video, from the night Marcus died. In the video, we're both arguing. I can barely hear it over the wind, but I see Marcus's face, tense, afraid. He's gripping the side of a scaffold. I'm on the edge, shouting something. He reaches for me. I pull away. Then the video shakes violently. The camera tumbles. The last frame is Marcus's face, upside down, mouth open, reaching. Then static. I watched it 5 times before I understood what I was seeing. He didn't fall. I did. The phone must have been in my pocket. The angle, the spin, the final image of Marcus reaching down. It all made sense. I was the one who went over. I was the one they buried. Everything since has been something else. I closed the crawl space and backed away. My ears were ringing, my legs like jelly. I climbed the basement stairs and emerged into the kitchen. The house felt colder. Every window was shut now, even ones I knew had been open. And the photos on the wall? Different. Not me and Marcus as kids. Not birthdays or Christmases. Now they were just photos of me, sleeping, dozens of them, on the couch, in the hallway, on the basement floor, and behind me in each one, Marcus, watching. At 11:41 p.m. I sat on the floor in the living room and waited. The message came right on time. Not from Marcus this time. Just a number. No contact name. No photo. You've been haunting him. Then another. You won't stop until you see. And then a photo. This time it was Marcus, alive, in his room, on his bed, staring at the camera, his eyes red, sleepless, broken. He was looking at me. Or rather, whoever was holding the phone. I looked at his face, his expression. Not fear, not anger. Grief. Utter, unshakable grief. And that's when it hit me. He's still seeing me. He's waking up every day to find doors open, mirrors fogged, lights left on. He's hearing footsteps, getting my messages. I am the ghost. I was never being haunted. I was haunting him. I shut off my phone, laid on the floor, stared at the ceiling, which seemed further away than before. I whispered, I'm sorry. To the house, to Marcus, to myself. Then something creaked above, a footstep, then another, and then a voice from upstairs, his voice, hoarse, cracked, distant, calling out, please, just leave me alone. Chapter 6, The Other Room. I didn't answer Marcus when he called out from upstairs. I couldn't. Not because I didn't want to, but because I understood now. His voice wasn't meant for me. He wasn't calling to me. He was calling about me. Pleading with the echo of something that wouldn't leave. And that something was me. I stayed on the living room floor, afraid that if I stood, the house would feel it and tighten around me. It felt like a living thing now, breathing through its walls, blinking through its windows, a vessel for whatever was keeping me here. I told myself I had to leave, to walk out the front door and not look back, but I couldn't move, because somewhere deep inside I already knew there was still something in this house I hadn't seen. The next day passed in strange silence, no new texts, no photos, no messages from Marcus. And for the first time since all this began, I noticed something terrifying. I didn't feel tired. I hadn't eaten in days, hadn't slept, hadn't needed to. I stared at my hands for a long time, wondering why they didn't ache, why my skin didn't bruise from the crawl space, why my eyes weren't burning from lack of rest. I pressed my palm against the mirror. No breath fogged the glass. Around noon, I made a list. It felt stupid, but I had to do something. A way to anchor myself. Something solid. I wrote down everything I knew. Marcus is alive. I'm dead. He sees me. I'm haunting him. I send him messages. I don't remember doing it. Something in the house wants me here. I stared at the final line for a long time, then underlined it twice. I had tried to explain this as grief or shock or guilt, but none of those things could move furniture. None of them could write messages in my own voice. None of them could open doors to rooms that shouldn't exist. Because that's what happened next. Around 3 p.m, the house shifted. I was in the hallway, walking past the upstairs bathroom, when I saw it, a door on the left side of the hall. There was never a door there before. Not once in my life, not as a kid, not after our parents died, not even during renovations had there ever been a door on that wall. But now there was, plain, unpainted, no doorknob, just a keyhole. I touched the wood, it felt warm, like skin. I tried to push it open, but it didn't move. Tried to look through the keyhole, but it was pitch black inside. And then, just before I pulled back, I heard something. Breathing. Shallow, matching mine. Then a whisper. You're not done yet. I tore through the house, searching for a key. Desk drawers, old shoeboxes, coat pockets, nothing. Then I remembered Marcus's laptop, back in his room. I opened it again. The folder Remember Me was gone. In its place, a single file, LetHimGo.exe. I opened it. The screen flickered once. Then a text window appeared. Lines began to fill the screen, one at a time. You held on too tightly. You stayed when you should have. You brought the house with you. He can't rest until you do. And then, do you want to leave? 2 options appeared. Yes. I clicked yes. The screen went black, and then a single sentence appeared. Then unlocked the door. That night, I sat by the strange door, phone in hand, unsure of what I was waiting for. I fell asleep for the first time in weeks, if you can call it that. And in the dream I was standing in the backyard. Marcus was there, but not like I remembered. He was thin, pale, exhausted. He looked at me like I was something behind glass, like he couldn't quite see me anymore. I called to him. He didn't answer. Instead, he pointed to the house, to the upstairs window, where I stood watching. Another version of me, blank-eyed, hands pressed to the glass, mouthing something over and over. Let me out! Let me out! Let me out! I woke to a new message. Not a group text, just a single message. From Marcus, last login, 3 minutes ago. It said, I left the key on the desk. I turned toward Marcus's desk. There it was. Small, brass, old-fashioned, too cold for a house without air conditioning. I picked it up and held it tightly, then walked toward the door. And as I slipped the key into the lock, I realized I wasn't afraid, because part of me already knew what was behind it. Me, the rest of me, the part that wouldn't leave, the part that never did. Chapter 7, The Room That Wasn't There. The key turned slowly, with resistance, like the door didn't want to open but couldn't stop itself. When the latch clicked, I froze. Not from fear, from recognition. I knew, somehow, that whatever was behind this door had always been a part of me, like a sealed-off room in my own mind. I opened it. No sound, no creak, just a silent swing inward. Inside was darkness. Not just absence of light darkness, thick, suffocating black, the kind that absorbs your breath. It felt like it was swallowing the hallway behind me. Like if I stepped in, I might fall out of time itself. But I had to go, so I did. The door closed behind me. I didn't turn around to check. Somewhere ahead, a dim grey light began to glow, like the inside of an overexposed photo. The air smelled like damp wood and old breath, like the way our parents' bedroom used to smell after they died. The walls were familiar. Wallpaper I remembered from childhood, stripes, faded blue and cream, and the pictures on the wall, God. They were all of Marcus. Hundreds of them. Photos from every phase of life, baby, toddler, teenager, adult, but no joy. None of them were happy moments. In every frame he was crying, or sleeping, or staring blankly, and in the corners of some photos I could see my hand, my shadow, my silhouette reflected in a mirror. I was always there watching, always too close. The room widened at the end, forming a circle. In the centre, a chair, facing away from me, and in it Marcus. Not a ghost, not a vision. Just him, still, breathing like he'd been waiting. Marcus, I whispered. He didn't turn, so I stepped closer. The walls behind me vanished. There was nothing now but the room, the chair, and him. I reached out and touched his shoulder. His head tilted, but didn't turn. And then he spoke. Not startled, not angry, just tired. You don't know how to leave, do you? I'm trying, I said. I didn't mean to stay. I didn't mean... You didn't let go, he said, finally turning to face me. His eyes were rimmed with black. Sleepless. Not haunted. Haunting. You fell, he said. You hit the ground so hard I thought your heart had left your body. But you stayed. I don't remember, I said, voice cracking. Marcus stood, not afraid, just resigned. You latched onto the house, to me, to the life you wanted, and now it's all echo. The chair behind him crumbled to ash. The photos on the walls began to burn, one by one, quietly, flames with no heat. No one ever talks about ghosts being lonely, he said, but that's what you are. A memory that won't stop asking to be remembered. I stepped back. I don't want to hurt you. You already have. Then he reached out and pressed something into my hand. A phone. Cracked. Mine. I've been getting your messages for weeks, he said, even after I buried you, even after I scattered your ashes. He took a breath like it hurt. Every night I see you on the stairs, in the mirror, the attic, the basement. I hear you whispering my name. I thought I was going insane. I felt tears forming, but they didn't fall. I don't think I could cry anymore. What do I do? I asked. How do I let go? Marcus looked at me like I was a stranger. You have to stop calling. The room shook, not violently, like a breath, like the house itself was inhaling. Behind Marcus, the pictures were gone, the walls peeling, crumbling, the floor cracking like the foundation was splitting again, and in the space where the door had once been, light, but not the warm kind. This was sterile, pale, the light of hospital rooms, fluorescent tubes, corridors meant for the dying. I don't want to disappear, I said. You won't, Marcus replied, but you can't stay like this. Not caught. I looked at the phone he'd given me. It buzzed. One last message from my own number. Let him rest. Marcus backed away, toward the light, not walking. Fading. Goodbye, he said. Wait, I called out. Please. I'm scared. His voice came softer now, echoing, I was too, but not anymore. And then he was gone. I stood alone in the empty room, the walls cracked and broken, the wallpaper gone, the air still, the phone buzzed again, a notification, but not a text, a camera app, auto-launching, recording. It showed the room behind me empty, and then something began to crawl into frame. From the ceiling, from the corners, a shape with my face, but wrong. Mouth too wide, eyes completely black, dragging itself across the wall like it belonged there. It stared into the phone lens and whispered, You left a piece behind. Chapter 8. The Piece I Left Behind. The thing in the camera wasn't just some echo. It was me. Not as I was when I lived, or even when I died, but what was left after grief calcified and guilt took root. A shadow moulded by memory and rage. It crawled into the frame slowly, dragging itself across the wall like a broken spider, mouth slack, eyes wide. Watching me. Studying me. The phone shook in my hand, but the footage stayed steady, too steady, like the camera wasn't recording the room around me, but something underneath it. I dropped the phone. The screen didn't crack. It didn't even make a sound, just landed on the dusty floor, screen still aglow, that terrible face still watching. Still there. I turned around expecting to see it in the flesh, or whatever passed for flesh in this place, but the room was empty. No doors, no light, just silence. And the hum. A soft, growing vibration like 1,000 old phones buzzing under the floorboards. Familiar, ancient. And then came the whisper, barely audible beneath it. Don't leave him alone. Don't leave him alone. Don't leave. I clapped my hands over my ears, screamed, I want to go. The lights above me flared, suddenly, violently. The room flickered, walls breathing, ceiling trembling, and then, just for a second, the impossible room folded inward like a dying lung, and I was back in the house. I landed hard, on the living room floor. It was night. The clock on the wall read 11:41 p.m. Of course it did. The couch loomed above me, the television was dark, the air was dense with static like the aftermath of a thunderclap. For a moment, I thought it was over, that I had passed through the eye of the storm. Then I saw the footprints, wet black footprints on the hardwood floor, leading from the attic, down the stairs to where I lay, and then stopping, exactly where I stood. I rose slowly, heart thudding, turned around, no one behind me, but my phone was in my hand again, screen on. Another message, from me. You can't go until you remember what you did. I staggered into the hallway. The walls had begun to peel. The paint bubbled like blistered skin. The wallpaper curled into strange symbols, circles with lines through them like broken eyes. The attic door was open. I didn't climb the ladder. It was already down. Waiting. I took a breath and went up. And for the first time, the attic wasn't just the attic. It was wrong. Expanded, twisted, full of echoes. The walls were lined with mirrors. Each one showed a different version of me, smiling, screaming, weeping, bleeding. One held a version of me cradling Marcus's body. Another showed me jumping from the scaffold. Another showed me pushing him. I screamed at that one, punched it. The glass cracked but didn't break. Instead, the figure inside looked up and whispered, You don't remember right. The mirrors began to warp, melt, bleed. I backed away until I hit something solid. Another door, the last door, small, child-sized, painted red. On the frame was an inscription carved into the wood. 4 words, This is where you stay. The handle was warm, like skin. I opened it. Inside was a small room, empty, except for a single item, Marcus's childhood toy phone. the kind with a cord and fake dial tones. It was ringing. I picked it up, put it to my ear. Static. Then a child's voice, my voice, crying, sobbing, "Please don't leave me alone." Then another voice, older, Marcus, whispering, "You always needed too much." The toy phone shattered in my hands, and the room began to dissolve. I ran, down the ladder, through the hallway, to the basement, back to the crawl space. I ripped the slab open again and stared into the earth. It wasn't a crawl space anymore. It was a hole. A grave. My grave. Fresh dirt, a photograph resting on top. I picked it up. Me and Marcus, on the scaffolding, smiling, and behind us, nothing. No ground, just open sky, like we were already falling. A vibration shook the phone in my pocket. One last message, from Marcus. "I tried to forgive you, I tried to move on, but you kept answering." Another came immediately after. "Tomorrow I bury the house." I blinked, read it again. "Tomorrow I bury the house," and then it clicked. He wasn't just grieving, he was destroying the one thing still anchoring me here. This house, this prison, this echo chamber of memory and guilt. And once it was gone, I'd be gone too. Unless I finally let go. But how? How do you let go of yourself? The walls began to quake. The floor trembled. The house groaned like a dying animal. The final message buzzed. "You left the worst part of you here. Come get it before I burn it down." I looked up at the stairs, back toward the attic, toward the mirrors, toward the shape still waiting, and I understood there was still one piece left to kill, the piece that remembered everything, the part that wouldn't stop texting, wouldn't stop haunting, and it was wearing my face. Chapter 9. The Last Text. I didn't climb the attic ladder this time. I ran. 2 steps at a time, slamming into the walls, slipping on the warped floorboards, hands bloodied from catching myself too hard. The house wasn't just decaying, it was collapsing. The wallpaper peeled like shedding skin, the lights sputtered, and the floor under my feet cracked with every step like it might open up and swallow me. But I had to reach it. The thing that looked like me, the last piece, the part still texting Marcus, still watching him sleep, still whispering to the mirror long after my body had been buried. The attic door was open when I arrived, wide and waiting. The ladder had changed, warped and splintered like bone. I grabbed the rails and pulled myself up, breath shallow, heartbeat silent. No sound now, not even the creak of wood, like the house itself had gone still, holding its breath. The attic was empty. No mirrors, no boxes, no childhood relics or Christmas lights or dust-covered memories, just walls. And standing in the center was me. Not breathing, not blinking, smiling. Arms slack at his sides. Head tilted like Marcus used to do when he didn't understand something. My voice came from its mouth, but the lips didn't move. "You remember now, don't you?" I stepped forward. It mirrored me. I raised my hand. It raised its hand, but its eyes didn't follow. They were locked on me, or maybe through me. "I fell," I said, "not him." The figure nodded slowly, and I couldn't accept it. Another nod. The silence deepened. I took another step. We were barely a foot apart now. The figure didn't flinch. It just said, "You made him promise." I froze. "What?" "You made him promise never to leave you behind, not even in death." I remembered. A fight, the day before the accident. Me drunk, angry. Marcus quiet, withdrawn. "You don't get to leave me again," I'd said. "You don't get to move on. If I go, you come too." And he'd looked at me exhausted and said, "Okay, I promise." That's what kept me here. Not the fall, not the house. The promise. I stared at the figure. Its skin was grey now, faded, starting to collapse inward like a wax statue under heat. "I broke him," I whispered. "You are what broke him." I lunged, grabbed it by the throat, but it didn't fight back. It just looked into me, deeper than anything should be able to see, and smiled. Then it said the last thing I ever wanted to hear. "He's more afraid of you than he is of death." And then it was gone. Ash in my hands. The attic collapsed, and I fell again. But this time, I landed on the couch. The house had rewound itself. Neat, clean, like nothing ever happened. TV muted, blanket over my legs. The clock said 11:41 p.m. A new message came in. Not from Marcus, not from me. Just a number I didn't recognize. It said, "There's still one text left," then another, "The one you never sent." Then, like it was typing in real time, "Go to the phone, the real one." I stood slowly, made my way upstairs, not to Marcus's room, to mine, the one that hadn't changed in years. where the desk still sat untouched, and on it a flip phone. Ancient, black tape on the back to hold the battery. It was mine, my first phone. Before smartphones, before group text, before anything that could track me. It was ringing. I opened it, no number, no voice, just a prompt, send unsent draft. I clicked yes. The screen flashed once, then went dark. The floor creaked behind me. I turned. Marcus stood in the doorway, eyes red, not angry, just drained. Like someone who'd finally accepted something they'd been trying not to see. I got it, he said softly. I opened my mouth, but no words came. He stepped forward, held up his phone. The message on the screen was just 4 words. I'm sorry, let go. He looked up at me. I think I can now. Then the walls began to crumble. Not violently, but peacefully, like snow falling. The ceiling dissolved, the light returned. Marcus faded. And the last thing I saw, before the world went completely white, was the unsent message blinking on my own screen. One last time. I'm sorry. Let go. Chapter 10. I was the message. When I opened my eyes, the house was gone. There were no walls, no attic, no stairs or windows or mirrors or shadows. Just space. Empty. Still. Like floating inside a memory long forgotten, somewhere between consciousness and decay. I thought I would feel fear. Instead, I felt quiet. Not the absence of noise, but the absence of need, of guilt, of everything that had kept me clinging to a place I no longer belonged. I looked at my hands. They were steady now. No blood, no dust, just fingers, mine, whole, clean. And then I heard it. Not a voice, not exactly a vibration, soft, rhythmic, like a heartbeat under floorboards. The hum of an old phone charging in another room, calling, not to be answered, but to be understood. I was no longer in the house, but I could still feel it, like muscle memory. The couch, the attic, the room that shouldn't exist, the scent of dust and old photographs. It had all been me, my grief, my echo, my refusal to leave. Marcus had tried to move on, again and again, and I had dragged him back each time. I wasn't haunting him out of hatred. I was haunting him out of love, twisted by loss. But love, when chained to guilt, becomes poison. I saw that now. And the final message I sent, the one I never sent in life, was all I ever needed to say, I'm sorry, let go. But it hadn't been for Marcus. It had been for me. Somewhere far away, a flame caught. I could feel it, warm, real. The house, our house, was burning. I saw it from above. The shingles peeling back, the walls collapsing inward like an exhale. Ash billowing into the night, and outside, standing alone in the grass, was Marcus, watching it burn, his shoulders heavy but straight, not broken anymore, free. I watched him open his phone, type something, then stop, look up. Not at the house, at me. He didn't speak, but I heard him. Thank you. And then he turned and walked away. I don't know where I am now, not really. I don't think this is heaven or hell or anything so cleanly named, but I know I'm not there anymore. Not trapped in the wood grain, not whispering through the wires, not clawing at the mirrors. I'm lighter, dissolving. And that's okay, because I finally accepted the truth. I was never receiving Marcus's messages. He was receiving mine, from a place just past death. A signal that refused to fade, a love that refused to let go. And for a time I was that signal, the static between worlds, the vibration at 11:41, the voice at the end of the bed, the shadow in the mirror, the ghost who didn't know he was one. But now I'm quiet, now I'm gone. Except sometimes when you lie awake at night, phone resting on your chest, you might feel it buzz, and see a message from no number. Just 4 words, I'm sorry, let go. And when you do, you'll know it's me, saying goodbye, for real this time. Some stories end with light, others with silence. Tonight's ended with a whisper from a place just beyond the edge of memory. If you're still awake, check your phone, and if it buzzes, don't answer. Let go. Thank you for listening. Sleep well, and whatever you do, don't look at the last message.